Hi, I'm Tia, and I'm 34, and I'm driving, so I apologize because I can't really look at the camera that much. But I kind of wanted to tell my story, my cancer story. I'm going to be documenting it over the next however long, till it's over, I guess until I die, depending. I apologize for the camera. I don't have a camera. I'm not a YouTuber. I just have my phone. I'm using the headset. I'm hoping the mic will be clear for you guys. If it's not, I don't know, I'll re-record or something. But I have a long drive to an appointment today, so I thought it would be a good time to just kind of, I don't know, talk about what I've gone through the last few months. So today, it is currently May 13, 2019. I have a fertility appointment just out of my hometown, about an hour and a half away, that I'm running late for because I think that I don't actually want to go to it. But I paid $70 for the blood work, so I kind of feel obligated, and I'm going to stop in at the cancer center. That's where it's located as well, just to chat with my doctor a little bit more. I have some questions that I've thought about in the last couple days, so let me just backtrack. In February of this year, I had shoveled, we had really heavy snow, and I had to shovel it off the roof. So the week after, my period was coming up too, so my breasts were really sore, and my left breast was a little bit weirder than normal. Like there's a bit of shooting pain in it that isn't typical from just like period pain. So I thought I had pulled like a pectoral or a boob muscle for about 2 weeks. And then about, I don't know, like it was the Sunday when I cleaned off the car, so that whole week, I kind of noticed a little bit more pain than usual. And then the next week, or around that time, I got my period, I think. So I think I was waiting for that to see if that would clear it up or stop the pain. Because I've always had really, really tender boobs. So it wasn't weird for me to have boob pain. It just was a different kind. So anyway, I'd signed up for a gym membership. 2019 was supposed to be like summer bod. 2019, I'd already spent a year trying to get into shape, and I just wanted to take it the next step. Can't tell by my double chin here, but you know, I'd lost 35 pounds, and I really wanted to be nice and toned for the summer, so that way I could, you know, wear bathing suits and feel comfortable. Anyway, I digress. And so I bought a gym membership, and I worked out the second week. And I remember on the Friday, that week I'd been wearing a strapless bra, and I can't even tell you why I wore a strapless bra that week. I thought, I guess my boobs had gotten small enough that they could fit back into some of my cool bras, and I could stop wearing these tattered, gross ones, because when I get fat, I put on weight in my boobs. So I was excited because my strapless bra was fitting again. And I was kind of practicing for the summer because a lot of my outfits are strapless or, you know, spaghetti straps. And so I remember when I took it off on Friday, I don't remember the exact date, but it would have been like the first week of March, the Friday of the first week of March. I remember I took off my bra, and my boob on the inside, so like right here, was really red and really swollen, and it had the lines from the bra much different than my right side, which is always my bigger boob side. So I thought that was really weird, and I panicked immediately. I said I had breast cancer. I texted one of my girlfriends, and I texted my mom, and I still went to the gym, but I ended up crying the entire night because my nipple was swollen. Like they were just, and I hadn't found the lump at this point. It was just the weird swelling, and my nipple looked different. Like my boobs weren't symmetrical. So I knew that was odd. That had never happened to me. So I called my doctor on Sunday at my mom's pushing, and me, I knew I was going to call. I was just going to wait until the Monday to call, but I called on the Sunday, and they ended up calling me back, and they got me in for the Monday. And I went to the doctor, and again, I hadn't found the lump at this point. He did a pretty half-assed breast exam, and I mean, he didn't even touch the other side of my boob. He didn't touch my armpit. He didn't touch anything. He only touched where it was swollen. And then he said it was probably mastitis, and he wrote me a prescription for antibiotics. And my fever was a bit elevated. So it kind of made sense that it would be an infection. I wasn't surprised by that diagnosis. And so I took the medication for a few days. I had to do a follow-up check. He wanted me back in, I think it was for the Wednesday. just to do, like, to get blood work or get results from blood. I think it was the results from blood work. So I actually did the blood work on Monday, and so the results were already in, so they called me, no, sorry, that was later. He just wanted me to do a follow-up. It was to get the blood work forms on the Wednesday, and the freaking poop swab thing. So I went in on Wednesday, and I had found the lump then. I don't know what day it was, either the Monday or the Tuesday, but I had actually felt the lump on the side closest to my armpit. And it was significant. It was, I would say, golf ball size. It was pretty big, and I was pretty shocked by it. So I went in and I told him, and he did not do an exam, but I did say, listen, there's a lump in my breast, and I don't feel any different from the antibiotics, like nothing is helping. So he had scheduled me an ultrasound. This was, I think, March the 11th was my first appointment, and the ultrasound people had called me for like the end of May, like May the 22nd or 24th, because I was considered non-urgent because I'm young, and the doctor thought it was an infection. He was just doing it to be cautious. So when I went back in on the Wednesday, he said that, okay, we're gonna move up. I'm gonna send an urgent request in. We're gonna get you in a bit more urgently. So I did all the blood work. I've still yet to do the poop swab because I don't want to. It's uncomfortable. And with everything that's happened, it was a bit of a waste of my time anyway. So my ultrasound was moved up 2 weeks to May the freaking 8th. Like, that's urgent. But again, I'm under 35, and nobody really thinks that breast cancer is what it's going to be, which is it's just so delusional of people. Anyway, I digress. So basically after that, I just played the waiting game. I Googled everything that it could be. I convinced myself it was fibroids or cysts or fibroedema. I didn't really meet all the criteria. I didn't have any scaly skin. Like, the only thing that I really, really noticed was the shooting pain that would go to my back and my armpit occasionally. It was like just a stabbing pain that would come out of nowhere. It was honestly horrible. I remember I would get it at work, and I would just say, I think I have breast cancer. And it's so funny looking back because every single person I said that to made me feel crazy. They gaslighted me into thinking that I was deluded and that everybody gets this and it's normal. I got the comment that it probably happened because I started working out. Just any excuse people could give me. And it didn't even seem like they were trying to make me feel better. It actually, a lot of the time, felt like they just wanted me to shut up about it. Like I was asking for attention, which if anybody knows me, knows I'm not that type. I don't run up to emerge. I don't like health problems. I pride myself on being a very healthy person. So I waited, and I went back and forth and up and down with panicking. I spoke with my mom a lot. I spoke with one of my close friends who is a bit more understanding than everybody else. She would try to make me feel better in telling me it wasn't breast cancer, but she would never gaslighting me into making me feel like I was crazy. So I used her. I remember it was 2 weeks from April the 24th, I got a call and they said, we had a cancellation. We can get you in for April the 24th. So that kind of started my descent into high anxiety. Everything in my life changed when that call came in, because I think inside I knew there was a big problem. So those 2 weeks, I remember I slept all the time. I'd come home from work. I'd want to go to the gym because I've been going to the gym every day of the week. I'd been getting 20,000 steps. I was really active. And then that call came and just everything stopped. My whole life stopped because I knew now that I was on the 2 week. That's it. I had 2 weeks left of, what I was going to consider my normal life. So the morning of, I can't remember the exact time of the appointment, it was 10 or something like that in the morning that I had to go in. So they started with the ultrasound on the 24th, and I could tell right away that something was up. The tech needed to, she told me she needed to change the camera, and I could tell she wasn't telling me anything. She was having a really hard time with whatever she was supposed to be looking at. So then she said I had to get a mammogram done, which was unexpected. I didn't know I didn't know there was 3 steps to to getting a diagnosis, which is ultrasound, mammogram, biopsy. If the ultrasound's clear, they'll let you go. If the ultrasound isn't, they send you for a biopsy or the mammogram. And if they can't get a clear image and, figure out what it is from the mammogram, that's when they do the biopsy. So after the mammogram, very nice doctor, I forget his name. I've seen him twice since then, but he's so kind. He told me that they had to do the biopsy. And he told me it was going to be pretty significant because my lymph nodes were involved. And that's kind of when quite a bit of panic hit me, because I knew the lymph nodes being involved was probably a pretty bad thing. So the biopsy sucked. They do like numb the skin with like the same stuff you'd get at the dental office. But I have thick skin. I remember when I was 15 and I got my belly button pierced, the guy who did that said that I had alligator skin. I had really thick skin. Only literally, not figuratively. I'll cry over anything. So for the actual breast biopsies, I can't remember how many he took. It was a lot. It was not one or two. It was quite a few that he took. And I remember he was able to get the needle in for that, and he had to actually nick me with the scalpel for the lymph node one. So that was scary. In hindsight, it kind of seems like nothing now, but it was scary. And yeah, he took a bunch of biopsies. I cried. They could tell he was upset. I thought they were just being nice because I was scared and I was by myself and I was crying. My makeup was everywhere. Gosh, the nurse and the doctor were just so kind to me. And I remember asking him at the end of the appointment, I said, do you think I'm okay? Do you think I have breast cancer? And he didn't answer me, but he said, if you do, at least you've caught it early, which I found very confusing because it was in my lymph node, which didn't feel like something I had caught early, but whatever. So I didn't go back to work that day. The biopsy being as extensive as it was and my anxiety being as high as it was, I was a wreck. I just went home and I remember curling up in my bed. I got some errands done. I got tick medication for my dog. I just wanted to take advantage of at least not going back to work. I distracted myself for a little bit, and then I basically came home, and as the freezing came out, it hurt more and more and more. So I just stayed in bed. I went to work the next day and I was thinking relieved because at least even if it is cancer, I'm not going to know for a little while. But they called me pretty early in the day, like 10 or 11, and they said, do you want to come into my GP's office for 3:40, which I now know was the last appointment of the day. At the time I thought, he probably worked till 5. So I went to the GP's office and they had me wait around for freaking ever. It was so irritating. But I guess they wanted me to be the last appointment of the day. So they had me wait, and then eventually they came in, and I don't want to throw my GP too under the bus, but man, I could just throttle him looking back, even in the moment. He brings me and my mom in. She had raced here for that appointment because I guess she knew them calling me in the next day was probably pretty serious. In my head, I was like, oh, well, they can't figure out it's cancer that quickly, so I'm off the hook. They're probably going to tell me it's nothing, and they just want to ease my fears. And so he pulls me in and he says, oh, I've got to review your chart while me and my mom are sitting there. And I could tell my mom was getting frustrated and I was getting frustrated. Like, shouldn't you know from the minute I sit down? Like, why are you prolonging this? And he turns to me and he says, well, we haven't gotten the biopsy back. And I yelled at him and I said, well, then why the hell am I here? Why did I leave work for this if you don't even have biopsy results yet? And he said, well, the girls at the front desk who called you aren't really trained to tell you what's going on. And I said, okay, then what is going on? And that's when he said, well, I think you've known. It's what you suspected. And he just kept dragging it out. And finally, he said, we are pretty sure you have cancer, and I'm going to refer you to a surgeon right now. So I remember just sitting in that room and, oh my God, it takes so long to process that I gotta say, I definitely didn't process it in that room. I just thought, okay, well, let's do what's next. And he immediately started texting a local surgeon, and me and my mom left. And I remember I had to go pick up my new phone, and she didn't want me driving, but I guess I hadn't processed. And I got in the car and I called my girlfriend and I talked with her the whole way to the post office just to kind of distract myself. And pretty much as soon as I got home, I got a call from my GP again saying which surgeon he had referred me to and who to expect a call from. I didn't get a call that night. That night was horrible, but I don't want to get into the emotions behind it. It sucked. The next day I got a call, and my surgeon wasn't going to be the one that my doctor thought it was be. I actually ended up with I don't know, I love my surgeon and his office, and his wife does all my kind of semi-counseling. And anyway, they called the next day and said, we want to get you in for the Wednesday. So this was the Thursday I got that call. My GP had warned me I was going to have to do staging basically, and so I was going to be expecting all of those calls as well. It's kind of a blur. Anyway, fast forward to Wednesday, and I went to my surgeon's office, and he kind of looked me right in the face and said, do you know your results? Has anybody told you your results? And I said, no, they just said they think it's cancer. And he said, yes, it is cancer. You have invasive ductal carcinoma, which is gone into my left lymph nodes as well. He said that I'm estrogen negative, progesterone negative, and at that time they didn't have the results from the HER2. It turns out that I am HER2 positive. I'm going to be asking today how positive I am for it, just to get an idea of how much the Herceptin is going to have, because the more positive you are, the better results you get from the Herceptin. So at that point, he kind of explained to me like that he didn't want to do surgery. My tumor is large. He wants me to do chemo first to shrink the tumors, then surgery, and potentially radiation. So he told me that I was going to have to go to the cancer clinic in this city that's outside our city. And yeah, he told me more about the staging, like all the CT, the MRI, the bone scans, because they have to see if it's metastasized anywhere else, right? So he told me to expect all of that. So the week after, I started the staging, which sucks. It's a lot of tests. It's a lot of blood work. It's a lot of needles. It's a lot of time out of your life. I was off work. They wrote me off work immediately for a minimum of 6 months right at that appointment, which was kind of nice because, like at the surgeon's appointment, because you just have so much going on that and my brain, like I can't work. The day after the diagnosis, the Thursday, they actually gave me a prescription for Ativan, which has really helped with my anxiety. I try not to take it every day, but it's nice because I can sleep and I can be present and know what's happening to me without kind of losing my mind, which is when you get a cancer diagnosis, that's what happens. Anyway, I'm coming into a town, so I'm just going to cut, and I will pick up in a couple minutes. Okay, if you hear the windshield wiper blades, I'm sorry. One is broken, but it's on the other side, so it doesn't really impact my life that much, so I'm not getting it fixed. So anyway, I think I left off with staging and all of that fun stuff. So the week I had to do my staging, which was last week, it starts with an MRI. Then I had a CT scan, which was super easy, and the dye they inject you with makes you feel like you peed your pants, which is kind of cool. The MRI was rough. She did a really bad job at putting in my needle, so I still have a bruise from that, but all the other ones have been fine. The bone scan was long. They inject you with radiation, and then you come back like anywhere from 1 to 4 hours after the injection, and you're like super radioactive. Well, not super. It's actually not that much. But you have to do a full body bone scan, and the machine just takes forever because it's pulling the radiation out of you. So that one, I think out of all of them, that's the one I was the most scared of too. I don't know. I guess I could have had cancer anywhere. I guess I still could. I don't totally trust the results. But I was so scared that it had gone into my chest, because that's where it likes to spread, like to the rib bones and my chest bone and all of that. So I was really nervous for that one. I felt miserable that day. That was not a good day. That was the Thursday morning. And then Friday was my appointment at the cancer center in the town that I'm driving to right now. It's called Sudbury. And yeah, Thursday was a bad day. Me and my mom spent the night in Sudbury just because my appointments were starting. I had to check in at 8 the next morning. I was meeting with a radiology oncologist at 9, and then my actual oncologist at 10. So we just wanted to make sure we were there early. And the cancer center is beautiful. I think I'm really lucky to have cancer where I have cancer because I am close. I mean, I wish I was in this town, but at least I'm close enough that I can be really connected to it, but I can also go home when I'm done. Like, I don't have to spend too many nights there. I think when I do, anyway, that's later on in the story. So I went to the cancer center Friday morning, and I, met the doctors. I talked with the radiation doctor first, and my God, he reminds me so much of my surgeon. He's so young, and he was so clear with me. Like, he didn't bullshit me. He told me the results from my scan. The only one that he didn't have was the bone scan. But he said from the CT, they can see my chest area. And he said that it hadn't gone in. They could see that it wasn't into my bones or anything like that on my chest area. So that was a little comforting. I'm still a bit nervous because I haven't gotten the results from my bone scan yet. So I'll be really excited when I can get that over with. Whew, I'm nervous just talking about it. My heart rate's gone up. So he told me kind of what the real plan is going to be, and that was nice to kind of hear what the plan is. So they want to start with chemo, like my surgeon said, and then it would be surgery to remove any, depending on how much the tumor shrinks. So either remove the tumor or remove the skin around, like anything that was touched by the cancer. And then my lymph nodes, which my surgeon had already told me, which will be a full lymph node removal on my left side, which again comes with complications like lymphedema. You know, you can never get blood work done. You don't heal very well. You have to be really careful with your arm, but it's better than cancer, so they can take it out. And then he told me after my surgery, we don't know what the surgery is yet, whether it'll be a lumpectomy, whether it'll be a mastectomy. I haven't done genetic testing yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the other boob yet. Depending on how the genetic testing comes back, I may just do voluntary mastectomies on both to, you know, reduce my risks of reoccurrence if I can actually beat this. And then after meeting with him and kind of knowing the plan, like when I would see him again isn't until I let him know when my surgery is scheduled. That's when they'll start getting all the radiation set up. So that's kind of a ways in the future. So then I met with my oncologist after. She's very nice, very nice. The only doctor I have that's female, not male, and she's very kind. Her and I guess it was a social worker that helps out. They're both really kind people, which everybody's been really kind, honestly. Even the nurses, when they find out, because sometimes they don't know why you're there, but then when they find out why you're there, it's amazing how everybody's attitude changes for somebody with cancer, or at least me. So she told me that's when she confirmed I was HER2 positive. So that's I don't know too much about it. Like I've read about it, so I kind of think I know a bit, but it's basically, it's not my hormone levels that are doing it. It's my body is telling my cells, I think, to grow rapidly, which can produce a tumor, which it did in my case. Which I actually had been hoping for a triple negative, which I've come to realize it was the radiation doctor who said, no, you don't want a triple negative. This is a better diagnosis, because they do have a drug called Herceptin that the HER2 positive cancer is very receptive to, and it's actually only been around for 20 years. So it's pretty amazing that I'm lucky enough that I can take Herceptin. So my chemo doctor, I call her my chemo doctor because she's my oncologist. Anyway, she explained what the chemo is going to be. So originally my surgeon had told me I would do 6 rounds every 3 weeks, but I think my cancer is a bit more aggressive than they anticipated. It sounds like, I don't ask too many questions. Ignorance is a little bit of bliss for me. I'm not emotionally prepared to be an expert on my own cancer yet. I'm getting there, but for right now, I do want to keep myself a little in the dark and just trust my doctors. So I'm going to be doing 4 rounds of every 2 weeks for the first 2 kinds, and then 4 rounds every 2 weeks for the second 2 kinds. And the second round is what includes the Herceptin. So the first 2 chemos that I'm going to be taking for 8 weeks, that's the one that has like the freaking red devil. So that's the one that's going to make me lose my hair and all of that stuff, but it's kind of unavoidable. Like it's, you hope that maybe the chemo you have to take won't be that one, but it's obviously a good chemo. They keep giving it to people and it works. So life goes on. You can Google red devil chemo and you can actually get an idea of how destructive it is on your body. And I think the reason they call it red devil is because it's actually red and it turns your pee red apparently, which I'm a little excited for. I just want to see red pee. So she told me, I also inquired about fertility because I'm 34 and, I never planned on having kids, but the fact that chemo is going to take that option away from me really kind of bothers me a little bit. So even though I don't think I have time to save my little Tia eggs, I'm still going to this fertility appointment today just to say that I did and just to see if there is anything I can do just in case in the future I did want to have children. My mom interrupted and I don't even know where I was with that. I think I was talking about the red devil chemo. Anyway, so she explained like how it's going to work, and I met with her on Friday, May 10th, I think. I don't know, not working means the days kind of just blend together for me at this point. And I'll start the chemo the following Friday, and because I'm meeting with a fertility doctor, she did say like I'm going to the area the cancer center's in, so because of that, she said that I could theoretically go there after my appointment just to see, because apparently there's hold hold on, I'm passing. I want to be responsible here. If I know how to edit, I'll cut all these shitty parts out. I don't know how to edit. This is my first video. Okay, anyway, I'm on the other side. So she said to meet with her today because they're the first chemo room available, or chemo seat, I don't know, in North Bay is on Friday. That's where I live. So no matter what, I have to wait until Friday if I want to do it in North Bay, but they do have an opening in Sudbury on Wednesday. So she said to pop in, and if I want to start earlier, I can start on Wednesday, but so today's Monday, so that would be in 2 days. The issue I'm facing with that is that she also told me at the time of telling me about, you know, my chemo schedule that I have to get a PICC line, which I know I sound like the biggest baby in the world, but like I'm terrified of getting a PICC line. I'm terrified of needles at the best of time. So the idea that they have a PICC line essentially goes into your arm and it runs through your vein up into your heart, and then it uses your heart to disperse the chemo, and it's for a great reason. It's so that basically I don't lose my veins. They don't like fall or get harder to get, because chemo is so toxic, and it avoids chemo burns because if the needles aren't put in right, and I have very small veins, so if the needles aren't put in right, you can actually get chemo burns. So I understand it's for a great reason to get it. It doesn't stop it from being terrifying. I was actually hoping for a port in my chest because, and the only reason is because I'm pretty sure they sedate you pretty heavily, if not knock you out, like it's an actual surgery. The problem with that is that it would delay chemo, and I don't want to delay chemo. Like if they insert a PICC line, they can literally put in the chemo right after. I think she said I'll get it done on the Thursday, and then on the Friday I'll have the chemo. So it can be really quick, where else I think with the port, there's some healing time involved. Yeah, so I get it, and I appreciate why they want to do it. The other thing that sucks with the PICC line is that like you can't get it wet, which they're like you can't take baths, so I don't care about that. But it is summer. I mean, it's May right now, and I'm going to be in chemo for 16 weeks at a minimum. So it means that there'll be no hanging out on the lake this summer. You can get covers for it and stuff, but they don't want you submerging it in water. So anyway, whine. Feel sorry for myself. I know I am. Once it's done, I think I'll be fine, but the dreading of the PICC line sucks. So that pretty much brings me up to today. There's not really much else I can say. The reason I'm choosing to document this is for other people. I know that YouTube and the internet has been invaluable to me to see other people where the survivors, the ones that struggle, and the cancer wins. It doesn't matter. It's all very informative, and it helps me. And I find a lot of the videos I'm seeing are for like hormone cancer, and I've seen quite a few triple negatives, but I'm having a much harder time finding personal videos of people who have just been HER2 positive. So I thought maybe I could be that person, and I apologize for how long this video is. I probably could cut it and I might sum it up a little bit better, but I really just want to remember my own journey, and I want to help anybody else that I can. I'm also choosing to share it publicly on my Facebook, just, you know, so anybody can see it, all my friends and family, but also I've made like my albums and any cancer post public because I think that it can really help people. Not everybody gets help that way. Some people would rather stick their head in the sand, but if they're anything like me, knowing that somebody else has been there, or knowing they are there and they're struggling along with you, can be very comforting, and it can be very informative, and it can help you better make decisions for yourself. For me, I've watched videos on what to prepare for chemo, so it's not just what my doctor has told me. I've seen the experiences of other people. So, you know, I've already ordered my caps, and I'm hoping to get my hair cut today because I heard that when you go through chemo, your skull can actually hurt from your hair falling out. And that's something I never would have thought of. I would have just thought your hair falls out. And the doctor certainly doesn't tell you that your scalp is going to hurt and ache from the hair. So it's just little things like that if I can help somebody else, then great. I'm hoping to document as I go along. I don't know about my mental health. I definitely have high anxiety. I don't know how bad the chemo is going to get me, but right now my intention is to document this journey. Even if I keep the videos for me, or if I put them on YouTube, or if I just put them on Facebook, I just want to be able to someday look back on this and say that I survived. So yeah, thanks for listening to my story. Leave me a message or write me a message. If I put this on YouTube, I'll have some details down below if you want to message me directly. If you have any questions, yeah, hit me up. But other than that, thanks for listening.